What's going on, YouTube? It is me, Carson, and I didn't think I was gonna do this today, but some things went down in the college football realm, and I was like, you know what, I'm bored, and I want to talk about some stuff. So here I am. I'm a fan of Texas Tech, and I go there, so I'm gonna talk about that first. So basically, let me get into this. Tech loses. Not surprised. I didn't think we were gonna win. To be competing with Kansas State, I thought was cool. Really only lost by a field goal. It was a 10-point game, 31-21. But it was a field goal. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, coach didn't want him to score, so I'm gonna say it's 24-21, even though it says 31. Both quarterbacks came out of injury. Both on like plays that like were Bowen out on a dirty hit, and then Rico Devers kind of did like he did lead with the crown, but it was on his shoulder. So like, anyway, both went out with, I want to say, one without a dirty hit, one without just a late hit that shouldn't have really happened. He should have slowed down, but it is what it is. Cool thing was Xavier White, probably I guess our second string running back at this point, went off for 100 yards. It's good to see that because we already have SaRodorick Thompson, who, in my opinion, can do great. I mean, he has past 2 games, but to have another breakout running back is great. Bowman, like I said, went out. So we brought in Columby, who was at Utah State. I thought he did good for us. A lot of mishaps, though. I think there's bad throws. And then definitely the last drive, which I don't know if it was more of play calling or if it was more of Columby just not making the right decisions. He checked down a lot. He ran, and I'm like, we have less than a minute. We need to score 10 points. Why are we doing checkdowns? Why are we running it? If you don't see a long ball, just make something happen. Because it's idiotic to have less than a minute left and you're doing checkdowns, which, 1, they can't get out of bounds, which means the clock's still running, and 2, we're not getting yards off of that. You're not even getting 5 yards off of those checkdowns. Those are for third and threes or something like that. You don't really want to do checkdowns, especially late game. The future is bright though. I like the future. Obviously, we still haven't won a close game yet. So that's upsetting. But at the same time, like, you have to look at some positives out of this. I think Matt Wells is a good coach. I think this is taking a little bit for him to come in and do some stuff. So, yeah, that's probably all I want to say. But I heard a lot of Texas fans already calling for Matt Wells' job. I don't really see why. 1, there's not many people we can get better than him because we're Tech. And people want to come to Tech. It's like the second season. And it's only the 3rd game into the second season with COVID. I think it would have been better if there was no COVID. Second game I want to talk about is, I'm going to talk about this game first because it's I can see it on TV. It's Georgia and Auburn. This was a blowout. They only scored 27, but it was a blowout. They probably could have scored more, but they also took the gas off, which is cool because if your defense isn't really giving up anything, don't try to force stuff because that does end up problems. 27-6. This is the Georgia we know and love, or I know and love. People probably won't like it, but Stetson Bennett came in as a walk-on. He was 5th string coming into camp. Damien Newman comes out, opts out. G. Daniel still isn't cleared for contact. Dwell Mathis didn't have a great first game, so they said, you know what, Bennett, you're going to start the second game. I'm thinking that's because J.T. Daniels, even though he is cleared for contact, hasn't really practiced a lot, and they don't want to risk an injury, especially when Bennett was doing this good and they're up at the lead. I don't see why. I don't know if Daniels will play this season unless Bennett just does not look good in a game. Zamir White did pretty good, 88 yards on 19 carries. James Cook I really liked. I wish they would give him more carries because he was doing good when he had the carries. I mean, he was averaging 8 yards an average. I was reading through him, when I was watching, they were talking about Georgia was averaging over 7 yards a play on first downs. 7 yards. I mean, they were getting second and third or less most of the time. That's insane to have a team that says, all right, we got first down, we're going to get to 2nd 3. Or sometimes we get a first down. It's insane. Kendall Milne came in, did decent. But again, this is literally Georgia. They had 202 rushing yards, many backs getting it. They brought in like their 5th string running back, and he still had like 27. Carius Jackson was a guy that they moved from quarterback to receiver. He played great. I think he's gonna have a breakout year. And I think it's gonna be good for George Pickens to have another guy there. I think Jermaine Burton can also be lined in, but like they didn't really pass it a lot, and I don't think you're gonna see a lot of passing from this team unless they're like down or they need big plays. But I think this team's gonna be running endless because they have Bennett. I don't think Bennett is a great quarterback, but he definitely is a good game manager, and I think that's where they're gonna look for it. So I think that'd be cool. Defensively, studs. I think that's the best defense in the country, and it plays well with how slow their offense is. So defense does get a lot of rest, which means it does help. They don't run fast pace. I think Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for Georgia, really does help because he does have a good play calling, and he has a play caller. You can definitely tell the difference between this Auburn game and last year's Auburn game, and just the season in general. So I think really did good. Tyson Campbell was locked down. He doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but when you watch him, when he plays Seth Williams, he did not allow a lot of catches. There was a PI on him. That was true. But like only one, and like many other plays where it was just like, yeah, he's just locking them down. They can't really get to him. Richard LeCounte's targeting, I thought was kind of weird. I do agree with it. Targeting per penalty, like for 10, 15 yards or whatever. I didn't agree with the ejection because it did not look like he hit with the crown of his helmet. He hit with his shoulder, or his right shoulder, I mean. Which I don't get. I don't understand it, because when I'm gonna go back to the Texas Tech game, TJ Thatcher got lit, and you could tell that was a targeting, but they didn't call it targeting. But then I'm like, okay, I don't really understand targeting, and then they do it with Richard LeCounte goes out. I get this defensive position. I think that is a targeting for the flag, but I don't see the ejection that was needed because I think he hit his shoulder. I think the reason is because of how hard he hit. But that's not fair. I mean, he's just a hard hitter. I think you can't just judge off of that. Does that mean, like, if a cornerback who doesn't have any hit power and he did the same thing, does that mean it's fine? Because he didn't lead. He hit his shoulder, and I think that doesn't count for targeting. By what I think about the rules, but who knows? I really wish there's a clearer understanding than just like, oh yeah, here's what it is, and then we're done. No, in the rule book it doesn't make sense. So I'm still skeptical of it. It doesn't matter, which is scary because that's their best player, and they still locked down. They only gave up 2 field goals. So yeah, this Georgia defense is scary. I don't think I would want to face it. I'm very interested to see how they go against Tennessee though next week, because that will have a good offensive line. They have a decent offense, so that'll be cool. Some people say they're gonna lose that game. Who knows? I mean, it's a season. Congrats to Arkansas finally getting a win, and their 2-3 seasons in the SEC. They've been like not getting a win with the SEC competition. They finally get one against Mississippi State, which did good against LSU, so Arsenal's looking pretty good. Their defense looks like that's probably what's going to have to carry them, because their offense is, I think, average. And then, yeah, we're going to talk about this last one. TCU and Texas. Well, actually, there's 2 more, I'm sorry. TCU and Texas is what we're going to talk about next, though. Texas loses. It was 33-29. They literally got a safety just so they could just not give up the ball. Fair thing. Max Duggan looks great. I knew he was going to be good against when I saw him play literally in person at Texas when I was at the game when we played Texas Tech. He looks great. I think he will be one of the better quarterbacks this season and for the future. I really do think he'll be good. I think he's going to be a difference maker for the Horned Frogs. He's just that kind of guy. Zach Evans finally kind of gets some playing time. I only got 1 carry. I think if I was them, I'd try to give him more because, I mean, he's a 5-star. But Texas played poor. And even last week, they played Tech, and they won. Credit to them for winning. A win is a win at the end of the day. Can't judge anything else. But they only beat Tech by 7 in overtime. So, I mean, then they come to home. They are playing at home, and they lose to TCU. Sam, I mean, he's playing good. You can't blame Sam for a lot of things. I mean, their defense isn't doing good, but their running game is iffy. I mean, they got 152, but they don't really have a star, in my opinion. And they don't run it a lot. Like, Roshan Johnson had like 5 carries for 63 yards. He was averaging like 12.6, but yeah, they only got if he was averaging 12 yards a carry, why is he only getting 5? I just don't get it. When Ingram's getting 11 carries and only averaging like less than 4. I think you gotta go with the hot hand, and I think that's not what they're doing. I do feel bad for Sam though, because like 4 touchdowns, 236 yards, to like receivers who aren't good. Like, they don't have Whittington, they don't have Smith either, or they had Jake Smith this game, but like they don't have Whittington. And their receivers are just not looking good, and their defense is just it's poor. It's really poor. I mean, you gave up 56 points to a Tech offense, which didn't look great the first week, and then the second week comes in, and I mean they did okay, but like scoring wise, you gave them 56 points. It just doesn't look like a Texas team that we should look for when you're talking about Texas. I don't think they're back. I just think that they need to get better. So, 2 more games, right? Yep, there's definitely 2 more games we should talk about. One of them being the one that literally ended maybe like an hour ago. I don't remember exactly when it ended, but I was watching the end of it. Couldn't watch all of it because I was watching Georgia and Auburn. But Oklahoma loses again to Iowa State. Another unranked team Oklahoma loses to. Spencer Rattler, again, throws another interception into the end zone. He's not bad. I don't understand how they're losing this. Obviously, they don't. Well, I do. Okay. Their defense has never been good to carry an offense that can't score. This offense can't score as much as it used to. Why? Because Spencer Rattler, as good as he is, I think he'll be great at quarterback. I think he has some time to process. You talk about all the experience that they had. Jalen Hurts, who's been in the national championship and SEC championships. He's won Player of the Year before for the SEC. You talk about before then you had Kyler Murray, who's a stud. You had Baker Mayfield, who's a stud. All of them have playing experience though. Besides Kyler, but like Kyler's Kyler. I mean, he was the number 1 pick. He's fast. Yeah, Spencer Rattler's kind of getting into his like feel of like, all right, here we go. Here's what's going on. Which is cool because I think he will, like I said, I think he'll be great. But they're just not it. Plus, they don't have a running back anymore. Like, Trey Sermon left for Ohio State, plus Kennedy Brooks wasn't there. I just think that, like, they're in a plan. They gotta reload. I don't think they're going to be great this season. But I think next season they'll be good. Spencer Rattler he's showed so much promise. And that's what you can be happy about if you're an Oklahoma fan. Obviously, you hate that you're not probably going to be ranked. You're not being ranked. You're 18 now. You're lost to Iowa State. You're not getting ranked. You're going to be unranked for the first time in who knows how long. I think it's crazy. But, yeah, they need to reload. They have good players. It's just about developing them and then adding on to it, I guess. I don't know. But this is also where I kind of say it reminds me, like, of Tech in a ways when Cliff was there. I'm not saying they're the same thing because Tech was way worse under Cliff. But Lincoln Riley is a great offensive-minded coach, but it's hard for you to win when you're only going one dimension. Like, you're not going on the defense. Your defense has been fine. It's been average, but that's also because your offense has been incredible, so they can put up like 50 points a game. This offense that you have right now is not going to put up 50 points a game. It's going to put up like 20 to 30 points a game. You need to have a defense then to stop players. The opponent's offense, I mean. And the team just doesn't look like they have that defense to stop them. So it comes to my thing of, what do you do then? And I think you just have to hope that either your offense does go back to that or you need to recruit better on defense. And I saw that a lot with Cliff. He did not recruit on defense at all. He only recruited receivers and quarterbacks and running backs and all that. That's not winning you anything. And Oklahoma, for every single time they make the playoffs, they lose in the first round because they are one-dimensional. And then you play a team that has a good defense and has an average offense or a great defense and an average to good offense, and they get blown out every single time. And they don't get blown out; they still lose. So it's just upsetting because I think this Oklahoma team has a lot of promise. They have one of the best. I think it's one of the best quarterbacks they've had in a while. I think Spencer Rattler is better than Jalen Hurts. I think he's inexperienced. So you have to let that experience progress into Spencer Rattler, and I think he'll be better. You didn't see Sam. Sam is great quarterback, and you're whatever you guys want to think. But but he wasn't good his first season. He has to get that experience. Once you get that experience in college, you're fine. You can move on from there. But it's all about experience, I think, in college, especially when you're on the road and like your first season plus COVID hit. It's just kind of hard. And I think Oklahoma can rebound soon. I think they're gonna. The problem is that you need to rebound quick though, because you play Texas next, and I don't think you want to lose to Texas, because you just never want to lose to Texas. Lastly, I want to talk about a game that literally just ended before I turned the camera on. This is a weird one because I think a lot of people are gonna be like, "Why are you talking about this one?" But I think this is kind of cool to talk about. Because why not? Tulsa just beat UCF, who had a 21 game home winning streak. UCF, it comes back to, can a Power 5 team really be up there in the playoffs and even that good? I don't think so. They don't play the schedule they play is never really high powered. Neither is a Power 5. That's because like they're Power 5. You're playing Power 5 schools 7 or 8 times a season. So you don't need to overload the front three in the 3 non-conference games. American, they don't do that. Or the Group 5, they don't really do that. So they play weaker. They play about this average non-conference, and then their conference schedule doesn't really have a lot of people who are ranked or should be ranked. American's probably the only one, but still, like, UCF your best one, and they lost to Tulsa. This is going to impact how, again, UCF has to go undefeated every year for American to be in the Power 6 at that point. I'll call them. But I just don't see it. I don't think UCF's that good. Their quarterback's cool, but, I mean, you throw for 330 yards, only 1 touchdown. Like, obviously, I said Spencer Rattler is different. I think Spencer Rattler is different because he's going against better competition. You're going against an unranked Tulsa team who was 0-1 entering today, and they just beat you. So it's poor. So I'm happy, though, because I don't like UCF a lot, because their fans are kind of obnoxious about the whole I didn't really care for them, but then they did the whole banner with the 2016 Road National Championships or whenever it was. And then that's when I got upset and I kind of started hating them. So, yeah, I'm a big UCF hater, and I'm glad they lost, and I think it's cool. I love how also Tulsa beat them like in 2016. That was the last time they lost at home, and then Tulsa beat them again. It's Achilles heel right there. They obviously went a year with beating them at home, but Tulsa does it again, and pretty happy. Other than that, LSU, good job. You finally got a rebound. You finally show that you can do something. But it was against Vanderbilt, who is literally the worst team in the SEC. Probably one of the worst Power 5 football teams probably the worst Power 5 football team. They're just really bad. Ole Miss, I feel bad for the Kentucky kicker. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but the Kentucky kicker missed a field goal in overtime, and that's why they lost, and that sucks. I've never been in that position because I'm not a kicker, and I'm not gonna say I don't know. I mean, the field goal was so close. It's a chip shot, and he missed a chip shot, and I think that's upsetting. Hopefully he can rebound. But also, talking about the American, Memphis did lose. I didn't even see this. Memphis lost to SMU, which I think is a good team, but still, you lost another ranked team, and SMU is not going to get into rankings because they beat Memphis, who's a 25 team. No, you're done. Like, you're not going to get that. So yeah, it's a little questioning about the American. I just don't think they're that good, and I think it's fair to say that. I don't think a lot of Group 5 deserve to be in the top 25 unless you're beating a Power 5 school, and then you can talk to me about being good. But I think it's kind of hard to say that. So that's about it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope leave a like, subscribe if you guys want to. I guess I'll be back tomorrow because the NBA Finals is there, and who knows, maybe I'll talk about the NFL too. This is really just going to be when I'm bored. I just want to talk about some stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, guys.